Hey harmonizers, welcome to this video with Mustang Aoife that's going to do her first ride, which is so exciting, and I'm going to show you a lot of the steps along the way that are super important to make sure that we really set it up for success. And I'll also show you what I think is an ideal first ride, and I'll point out a lot of the reasons why as we go along. And first up, that's me in the pink that is leaning over Aoife and just kind of giving her the cookie from the opposite side, which is a skill that they have to learn. They don't kind of understand. They're used to getting the cookie from the ground, and she's used to being very polite about cookies as well. She's like, I don't get it. But she had no problem with me leaning on her saddle. And then it's going to be student Katie who is actually getting on Aoife for the first time. And the big reason there for me and the whole situation is that I'm currently carrying my sister-in-law's baby. So I'm being a surrogate for my sister-in-law who had cancer. And that means that I shouldn't really be riding a whole lot. This little piece here I just sped up, and then I'm putting it back on so you can see Katie start to lean over and do the same thing, and then I'm giving the cookies. So I love that I get to be involved in the training and I'm doing the groundwork piece, but leaning over a horse when you've got a little baby is not necessarily the best idea. And it's not uncommon that when you're doing a first ride with a horse that they might have a reaction, because you don't always know what's going to trigger them. Even though we can do a ton of ground preparation, there can still be something that feels different, weird to them, and they maybe step funny, maybe they do do a little funky bronk or something, and that can just be them expressing they're overwhelmed, they're frustrated, they're unsure, and we don't always know when that's going to happen. But ideally, we can go in small enough steps with lots of positive reinforcement along the way. So that way they're just like, yeah, this is great. And we can pick up on little signs of tension before it becomes a really big issue. So that's the goal here. And so in the beginning was me just kind of leaning over her back, and then Katie leaned over her back. And then that was her very first steps with the rider, which is super exciting. And now we're switching sides. So for me, it's really important that we do things on both sides of the horse, because when we're riding, the horse sees us out of both the right and left eye. So I don't want that to be tricky for them, but also I want them to be balanced and be able to be as comfortable both left and right. And sometimes people think, oh, you can only do things from the left, only get on from the left, only get off from the left. But that really stems from military riding, where you would have a sword or a gun on your side. So getting on from the left is what made sense. So it was out of your way and not in the way of the horse. But we don't have a gun. We don't have a sword. We can do things from both sides, and then she can stay really balanced. So this is now from her right side, having Katie do the leaning process, and we're going really slowly. So some of these pieces I've sped up because it's, a little bit too slow sometimes, but to me that's what good horse training is super slow and trying to allow the horse to think and process. Because just imagine you're in this situation. Imagine you are the horse and somebody's getting on you for the first time. We're trying to use all of the things that she knows, like the positive reinforcement, where I give her a cookie, I say yes, I'm trying to praise her, let her know that she's being a superstar, and we're trying to, be kind. You see, she kind of looks over at Katie there like, you just like got off my back. And we're keeping it really short, like just a couple steps, and then praising her so that way she can go, oh, okay, like you're not trying to hurt me, like this is a thing we're learning and we're doing. But you can just imagine if you're the horse and this is happening to you for the first time, if it goes too quickly, or if somebody were to be on your back too long, it'd be much easier to get thrown into a situation where you feel overwhelmed and you want to get them off your back and you just don't understand what's going on. So for me, I really love this process of starting with just leaning over their back, just a few little steps, do that from both sides, and then gradually building up to longer sessions on their back. And then also right now we're doing the technique where I'm the ground support. And we know that Aoife has an incredible relationships with me doing Liberty and all the groundwork. It's been many, many, many months of taming and training together, and Katie's really new. And one of the things, especially true for Mustangs, I find is that they can trust one person and they can be a little skeptical of new people. And it is a bit of a process for them to learn to trust other people as well. So we're introducing Katie into this equation as well, which she was helping with the long lining and the other pieces. So she has been around for some other sessions. So we're not just starting with this, which is an important one because we're trying to set Aoife up to be successful in the sense of accepting, willing, and not feeling overwhelmed and feeling like bronking Katie off her back. Like that's the goal. So making sure that they know each other before this moment is really important. And then you can see Aoife's doing a great job. Like she stands still. She's checking in for those rewards. You can see her posture. She's standing, and her movements when she was taking her few steps were okay. Her ears are definitely to the side and on Katie. Like they're very aware of what is happening. But there's not huge signs of tension. You can see in my lead rope, it's very slack. So I'm suggesting, Aoife, go ahead, come walk on with me. But I'm not pulling her and making her move if she's not ready. So just a few little steps at a time. I'm giving lots of praise because I want Aoife to know that like this is a normal thing and this is a good thing. And if anything, I want Aoife to think, can we go back to doing that riding training where I get a zillion cookies and she just has such a great memory of her first ever ride versus thinking that it's super stressful and oh goodness, do we have to do this again? So it's just less work, really relaxed, really easy stuff for her to do. And you can see she's just checking in for those rewards, which I don't mind because she's not being super rude or anything like that. She's just kind of checking like, am I doing a good job? And I'm purposely giving her lots so we can try to have that positive association because I really want this to go well. And especially for Katie too, because this is Katie's first time ever being the first rider ever on a horse, which is very exciting. And then also it's a Mustang, which adds that other little dynamic because Mustangs can be more flighty than domestic horses that have had ground handling all along in their upbringing because they're just used to more commotion in general. They've just been exposed to more versus a Mustang like Aoife, who's been wild for a few years before coming to me and getting tamed and gentled and becoming a domestic horse. It's a little bit more challenging for them because they've just been used to being a prey animal for so long where they've literally had to look out for their survival, and fight or flight has kept them safe for those many years that they were out in the wild. So it's a very different upbringing, but you can see Aoife's like really just kind of looking, checking in, getting those cookies. I've done lots of that ground preparation, so everything's going really, really well. And then now we're progressing to doing more steps and more things. And so my instruction to Katie is that you're basically going to sit like a sack of potatoes. And I apologize that the camera is sitting on a jump standard, so it does not follow us the best as we're moving around. And there's going to be some moments where we get a little bit out of frame, but I decided to keep it all in there so that way you guys could see that there's nothing that I'm cutting out. Like there was no secret, bad, horrible moment in this longer first ride, or sack of potatoes is what Katie is. You can kind of really see that all of it goes really, really well. And Aoife's listening and understanding. And so what I'm doing is the ground cues that Aoife's been practicing for a long time now, many, many months, getting ready for this moment of the first ride, but also having fun doing our Mustang training competition as well. So see here, we're doing a little haunch turn, which means the back legs. She's pivoting around one of her back legs and the front legs are crossing. And the crossing legs and doing these little movements help Aoife stay in a real thinking frame of mind. They also let her feel Katie's weight underneath her. And I don't want her thinking that riding is just go, go, go. I want her thinking that it's no different than when we do groundwork. It's like solving a communication puzzle of, what are we talking about? What body part to move? And then praising her. So it's all very relaxed along the way. So we're doing both sides. Did the pivot turn going one way, changing direction, doing the other side, which is very much how we do our groundwork anyways. There's never a particular order of like, I always do it in this order. I always do haunch turns first and then always back. It's not like that at all. It's more about, I always tell people, stay out of a routine and stay in a conversation. So that way we're literally talking to each other through body language and through different movements. And sometimes that's navigating through obstacle courses and things like that. But what we're doing right here is very much the basics of moving the different body parts to make sure we have some understanding there. And then Katie's just sitting there as a sack of potatoes, just being a little bit of weight on her back and being mindful not to do any big motions. We're just letting Aoife get used to what it feels like to have a rider up there. And then as we come towards the end of our session here, I wanted Aoife to start to realize she could take a cookie from the rider, because this will really help build to the piece where we transfer to Katie riding with the reins and Katie getting to ride Aoife, is for her to realize that the person up there is a person who can reward and can make requests and things like that as well. And the cookies, they just speed training a lot and help everything stay a little bit more relaxed. So instead of pulling on her face and just getting her to bend right and left, we're guiding her right and left. So we're getting the benefit of the lateral bend and the benefit of that relaxation, the licking and chewing that comes from eating the cookie, all of those little pieces. And the great thing is that Aoife is choosing to do that. And she doesn't have to learn to yield to that pressure at this point in time. It's more about just getting comfortable with that person on her back, getting that bending, and then also understanding that she can take a reward from Katie as well. So there you can see that I assisted by kind of guiding her back with the cookie of where to take the cookie, and then Katie giving that as well, which will just help. And it also, I think, helps horses stay in a frame of mind of learning a little bit. It depends on the horse, because every person and every horse are different. We value different rewards. And so that's important, because rewards have to be what the horse likes. But at the end of the day, it allows the horse to think like, this is an opportunity to earn. And, how am I going to earn the cookie and what do I need to do? So it helps them stay motivated and thinking about what it is that we're doing in the session, versus if the reward is in the release only, which means you stop pulling on your horse or you stop nagging your horse and then they get the release. Well, the ultimate release could be to just buck you off and run away. So that's a little something for you guys to think about is, what is the reward? What is the motivator? And let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.
Remember to subscribe and check out harmonyhorsemanship.com for even more learning.